When you hear something outside and you don't know what it is, it's probably best not to go in search of it. That's what YouTuber Leviathan did in January of 2020, writing, "We've been hearing chilling sounds from barn, and we decided to investigate. What we've seen lurking in there was petrifying. Is there someone who is able to identify the creature?" The video shows the pair walking through the darkness in the woods at night. They enter a wooden barn and are shortly met by this terrifying rattling howl. When the thing starts banging around the barn, the pair of thrill seekers don't stay long enough to find out what was making that noise. Who can blame them? Would you want to face whatever is making this sound? In the nighttime darkness? Me neither. This creepy farmhouse will have you swearing off abandoned buildings for life. Published by .do's Urban Exploration in April of 2013. The uploader admits to being skeptical to the paranormal, but this incident made him consider opening up to the possibility. Writes that the house sits about a half a kilometer from a road in Bobcage, Ontario. The house is isolated with just a barn and an outcrop of other buildings. It appears from a distance to be tightly boarded up, but a back door was wide open. He writes, "Now it is very possible all the environmental conditions were perfect for this experience. However, Wingman Jan happened to be with me on this explore, and we are in agreement. There was something more to this." He says the video doesn't really do the reality justice. The sounds were much more magnified, which he describes as like freight trains. He writes, "There was the sound of someone else walking. There was the sound of something heavy being dragged across the floor, and when exiting, it was like being followed out to the threshold of Inside and Out." Without further ado, let's take a look at the cryptic video. Even the approach to the house's exterior is a bit unnerving. The back door is under an overhanging, which our friends sneak beneath to catch a glimpse of a bunch of knickknacks and garbage littering the ground, including an old sewing machine. The back door is wide open, it's dark inside. They climb the steps to the kitchen area, also disheveled and covered with odds and ends. Once inside, they're stepping over the trash and other items on the floor, while scanning the rooms with a flashlight. They enter the living room. Something on a door across the room flies up. It appears to be blown by a breeze. The door then opens and slams shut, while our brave Da backs away. Instead of racing out of there, they get closer. The door keeps creaking open and slamming shut again. He finally enters the empty hallway. No one is there. He shines the flashlight upstairs, and just when you think he's going to explore that second level, he hurries the heck out of that house. Probably a smart idea. The house alone is unsettling. I can't imagine what being there in person must have felt like. Although Da knows some might call him a coward for being afraid, he insists that you had to be there to know what it truly felt like. On the contrary, most people believe in the comments of this video that Da was brave to stay in this obviously haunted house as long as he did. I'm one of them. Two friends are down in the basement when suddenly a third friend wants to join in. The only problem is, this playmate is not even human.
Hi, it's Huh? Hi, it's Barbie.
What the heck?
An old toy suddenly starts saying hello to them over and over. As soon as they get near, not only did it somehow turn on all by itself, but this is also apparently the first time it has ever been thought of in years. The batteries for this abandoned toy should have been drained long ago. The description for this video says that they have been regularly hearing loud banging noises in the basement, which is probably why they came downstairs in the first place. It's also extremely unnerving that, out of all of the possible sound effects, it chooses to keep saying hi over and over. Giant moving vat is supposed to pour molten steel into a receiving chamber, where it can be cooled and molded. This receiving must already be full though, because the red hot liquid quickly boils over and the intense heat causes a huge chain reaction. Liquid steel now blankets the floor as the vat continues to do its automated job, sending more of the lava-like substance spraying everywhere. At 5 minutes and 40 seconds, you can see two scared factory workers emerge from their hiding spot around the corner, where they must have been the entire time. They are extremely lucky to be alive. One whiff of the toxic steam would be enough to singe their lungs. A YouTuber named Matthew Van Hughes is enjoying nature when he hears a loud voice of someone who apparently isn't. Listen to this part and tell me if you can literally hear the word help being said, because I think I can. The sound quiets down and then switches over to something far less human. Skeptics think that this is some kind of wild animal, but I think I can hear English being spoken here, but I can't tell what. Maybe the words "don't take me." Let me know what you hear. When he gets to the bottom off the cliff, nothing is there. Matthew waits for an hour and doesn't hear anything else, so he leaves whatever it was to take their final breaths. If you're looking to have night terrors for weeks and jump scares for days, have I got the Scream Fest for you. This clip was posted to the Chills Narrators subreddit by Exploring with Eric. In the video, the crew is exploring an abandoned house. The interior is in disarray. Fresh markings are painted on the walls as they attempt to communicate with spirits in the home. One crew member asks the spirit to knock once if he wants them to leave. No answer, but he asks once again to knock before they leave to let them know he is there. He demonstrates by knocking on the wall, and this time the spirit answers. Listen closely, his response is distant, but you can hear it distinctly. The spirit knocks back, and hopefully this video is proof that the crew lived to tell the tale.
Can you do that? Can you do that?
Okay. Earl Kirkendall captures a bright light in the sky, but it's not a meteor, lightning, or an unidentified flying device. It's his poor neighbor's house erupting. This video is terrifying because of how calm everything is before, during, and after. There's no warning signs beforehand, and seconds later, you'd never know a family's entire livelihood has gone up in flames. Even scarier, a cause for the incident has yet to be determined, meaning anyone in the neighborhood could be next. I Thought All Dogs Go to Heaven, published by Awkwardly Quiet Gamers in April of 2018. This security footage shows a dark but busy sidewalk at around 2 in the morning. A woman is seen standing to the left. A dog or cat comes into view on the right, as does another lady. They both pass by in the night. That's when the ghost dog comes into frame. Unlike the last animal's starker image, this one is slightly blurred and transparent. It runs along the sidewalk and then disappears out of sight. Meanwhile, the lady is making strange moves along the sidewalk. What is going on here? Is this ghost dog playing one last game of fetch with its owner? I hope that's the case. The BBC never expected to air a most wanted photograph that looked a little too familiar for their liking, and you'll never expect who it resembles.
In March, we asked for your help in finding Victor Lakatos.
The ears, nose, eyes, brow ridge, and even a slight divot on the side of their head are all the same, but obviously this person did not escape authorities and become a famous television host. Still, with crazy coincidences like these, you have to wonder how many people are completely innocent and behind bars because their doppelganger did something wrong on video. A YouTuber called Survival Life tracks a gigantic snake across his local soccer field. I'm guessing that he must have been using a selfie stick to get this up close, but then again, it wouldn't surprise me if his hands and fingers were only inches away when this happened. Eventually, Survival Life backs off and leaves the snake alone, and I'm curious as to what kind of snake this was. I can tell by the tropical tree line that this video was taken somewhere near a jungle, in which case this snake could definitely be poisonous. Some of Survival Life's fans are saying that this was a cobra, and I just wanted to confirm what type of cobra this was. That way we would know if Survival Life was risking a hospital trip or even his life here. This strange CCTV video captures a bizarre event that's worth taking a second look at. When played at normal speed, you'll see a blurry object show up for a brief moment and then disappear just as fast. Slow down the video and you'll see that this object is actually traveling at an impossibly fast rate of speed. It looks vaguely human and the CCTV is able to correctly identify a head, torso, and legs as indicated by the small purple quadrants. Maybe this is a camera malfunction, or maybe this is a rare sighting of a creature that should not exist. When you want to get away from it all and get back to nature, camping is an ideal way to self-isolate, but sometimes you're not alone. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by WillyComics64, the Redditor writes, I found this guy near my campsite, and I don't know who he is or where he came from. The clip shows a man lurking in the trees near Willy's campsite. He appears and then just as quickly vanishes. While some in the comments don't find this all that odd, as hiking is part of camping, others think it's just a little weird that the stranger didn't introduce himself and just seemed to disappear in an instant. Willy explains in the comments that the situation freaked him out because no one was renting the site next to him, and he didn't see this man at any other campsite or on the trail that loops around the campground. Redditor Laura Malia 649 writes, and this is why I fear people when I camp more than the wildlife around me. Others think that the man acted very suspiciously and hoped that the Redditor has something to protect himself with. Redditor Faker Hoach 10,000 suggests that perhaps the man was growing deep in the woods and just came out to look after his plants. Willy can only hope that these assessments are right, because if this man is anything other than a hiker, a camper, or a grower, then who knows what his intentions are. A YouTuber named Captain Bob Hartzell finds himself in the sea caves of Devil's Island in Wisconsin when he feels uneasy and decides to start recording. Watch this part and tell me if you see something strange in the distance. A vaguely human outline can be seen standing directly in front of him. I guess this could just be a small cave opening, but this island is rumored to be haunted by numerous spirits and even a cave monster, so anything is possible. All I know for sure is that Bob feels like he is not alone, starts recording wildly, and manages to capture a silhouette roughly the same size and shape of a human. A reality show that can take a dark turn, Whale Wars follows the Sea Shepherd Conservation Society as they confront whaling fleets over environmental issues. The society is often faced off with a Japanese whaling fleet, year in and year out. By season 3, in the episode titled Sliced in Two, the two parties decide enough is enough, it's time to have it out. Up until this point, the battle has been confrontational, but not terrifying. The Sea Shepherd's arms of choice, paint, spud shooters, and noise disruptors. The whalers, strong and effective water cannons. This time, however, the whalers go all in, heading straight into the Shepherd's small ship. The Addy Gill is then, as the episode is so aptly titled, Sliced in Two, the ship lies and shatters on the open sea. The crew can't contact anyone via radio. It's one of the scariest moments in reality TV history. Even worse, the whalers start to lower an inflatable boat into the sea, likely to capture the crew and take them on board. The open sea is scary enough. Imagine being surrounded out there on the waters by your worst enemy. Luckily, the Shepherds are able to save their crew in time. Everyone survives, and no one is captured. A happy ending to another scary event caught live.
I'm gonna save a kid out of a trunk right now. He locked himself in.
When a YouTuber named David Nugan hears noise coming from the trunk of a car, he discovers a young boy has accidentally locked themselves inside. It's a hot summer day and the kid needs to be rescued immediately. So David wastes no time breaking out a window and reaching inside. He scrambles to find a button that will pop the trunk. They are sure that the child is severely dehydrated and there is not a second to lose. Finally, the trunk unlocks and a scared child comes stumbling out. You can see his hair and shirt are drenched in sweat, and he is certainly not faking any of this, even though he appears to be alright for now. I still would have taken him for medical attention just to be safe. Let me know what you would have done next based on what you've seen. And thankfully, this man was nearby to save the day. This terrifying footage was filmed in an elevator in Chile. Jose Acevedo gets on the lift and presses the button. Little does he know that this will be the ride that changes his life forever. As soon as the button is pressed, the doors violently snap shut and the elevator lurches upwards. Jose knows that something is majorly wrong and immediately presses the emergency stop button. Instead of stopping, however, the elevator climbs even faster. There's literally nothing for the man to do except repeatedly push the button, while panicking as the elevator races up 31 floors in less than 15 seconds. Finally, he begins to swat at every button. Adrenaline taking over as he desperately hopes that just one button will work and bring an end to this terrible ride. He is absolutely helpless and appears to be too scared to even scream. Unfortunately for him, the only thing stopping this elevator is the roof itself. The elevator slams into the top of the building at full speed, and inside, Jose's broken body slams against the crumpled walls. He survives somehow, but now he has severe head and leg injuries. Also, the damage to his spine means he is sadly unlikely to ever walk again. Someone is watching in the woods. Published by Mr. Horror, this short clip shows a group hanging out in the forest and what looks like the ruins of an abandoned structure. As the camera turns from the surrounding trees to the building, it captures something creeping around the door frame. The mysterious figure is but a flash, and its features are indistinct. It quickly pulls out of view. The cameraman hurries forward, revealing a campfire built outside to the right, but it looks like the creature is long gone. What was it? Are they being stalked by the unknown? It sure looks that way to me. When your child is communicating with ghosts, you should listen. Posted to TikTok by PG Stories, this toddler seems to be communicating with the other side. The boy says goodnight to someone in the bathroom. When his mom goes to check it out, there's no one there.
Who are you saying goodnight to?
Him. Good night.
Who?
Him. Good night.
Jagger, there's no one up there.
He's up there.
Show me.
He's up there.
He seems to be pointing to the vent. Is someone hiding up there? Is there a phantom in the vent? Or is it just the kid's wild imagination? I feel like this video left us with more questions than answers. Please don't try this yourself, but apparently there's a part of the eye that can be touched without producing a stinging sensation. This person pulls down their eyelid and gives a sharp poke to the outside corner of their eye like it's no big deal. He presses down several times in a row without even watering up, which is certainly more than I can say for myself while watching this video. I don't even want to know how he figured out this bizarre trick or how many times he had to practice before getting it right. This video was taken from a live stream in someone's car. Two friends are singing a popular song by Adele together and just goofing off one night while aimlessly driving. I can't play the clip with sound because the song is copyrighted, but pay attention to the baby seat in the back. It starts out obviously empty, as you can see here in the beginning. However, sometime during their singing, something slowly materializes behind them. Let me know if you can see a ghost child at this point. By the time they finally notice, you can already vaguely see the baby's mouth and other facial features. They are absolutely stunned and quickly turn off the stream without saying another word. I have no possible explanation for this video, besides maybe the shadows playing tricks on them. Still, that's a strange coincidence that begs for a further investigation. If there was a soundtrack to your nightmares, it would probably sound like this. Posted to TikTok by Hannah Hallett. She writes simply, help? You'd be seeking help too if this Yankee Doodle was blaring outside your window in the darkness of night. Hannah captures what looks like an ice cream truck making a U-turn on her road in the darkness. Well, that's a little odd considering the time of day, but not overly scary. The fact that the truck's haunting children's music is blaring from its speakers, even as darkness envelopes the night, is absolutely terrifying. Who is this ice cream man trying to attract? Imagine this nightmare fuel filtering into your subconscious as you fall off to sleep. Pretty sure nightmares would be a guarantee. Well, this man was checking his home CCTV at night. He captured something he didn't expect. Published by Scary Desk in November of 2021. The scary video shows the man setting up his camera and checking that it's angled well in his yard. But as he's doing so, look behind him. A creepy face peeks out from behind a bush in the background. It remains in view even as a car passes by behind it. The face then slowly disappears back behind the bush. A closer look shows the creature's bizarre features. While it looked human from far away, it doesn't exactly look that way close up. Is this being wearing a mask? And why is it hiding? Whatever is going on here, it seems this man set up his security cameras just in time. Sometimes while ghost hunting, it's not the ghosts you have to worry about. Published by Proving Demons. This scary encounter with a live human occurred while investigating this abandoned home. Early on, they sensed something inside of the house. After deciding there's no one there, they continue their investigation and end up recording this rather harsh whisper.
Yeah.
Place that harsh whisper.
Someone doesn't want them there. And soon after blowing a special type of whistle, it's clear exactly who that is. The ghost hunters abandon everything inside and race off. Would you be able to get your stuff or write it off as a loss?
I've got a flashlight.
Nothing like heading out to the old barn in the middle of the night. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by the Comics Man, and originally posted to YouTube in April of 2020 by the channel Me and Some Dudes. Comics Man writes, thought I saw something at 1 minute 19 seconds. Don't know. Let's take a look and find out. The guy filming sets out to show us his barn at night. He notes that there's a shed full of roosters to the side, and sometimes they go berserk. He says when they do, and he goes to check on them, the door is always open. His theory is that there are bunnies or raccoons living beneath the barn, but how would they open the door? Eugene Krabs in the YouTube comments points out at around 1 minute 18 seconds that something appears to duck down behind the gray thing in the barn. Do you see it? We can only hope it's a raccoon and not something creepier. Published to YouTube by Proving Demons in May of 2020. You might want to call your local exorcist after watching this video. The uploader explains that the house they entered is known to have been the site of an exorcism, and they were exploring it to capture paranormal activity. He writes, while experiencing heavy poltergeist activity, I could feel the demon inside trying to possess me as it did the previous owner, who is now insane in a mental institution. From that point, our ghost hunt took a turn for the worst. Let's take that turn with them. After hiking up to the abandoned building and entering through a crawl hole, the crew finds the inside looks like a surreal art shed. Colorful paper lanterns hang, arrows are pointing every which way. All natural light in the place is framed by gothic windows. At first, the general aura of the place is curious rather than creepy. There are lots of scraps of paper posted to a board, a large map, a guitar hanging on one wall, As one YouTuber, Lavender Rainbow, points out, there's a pamphlet on the wall later in the clip at 16 minutes 29 seconds that reads, Bipolar Disorder Survival Guide. So maybe the person living here was trying to seek psychiatric help. You find yourself wishing you were there, so you might examine things up close and learn more. But then the crew hears a woman screaming. They head towards a back room, with one of the dudes mentioning that they hadn't even made sure they were alone in this building. In fact, the building looks very lived in, not abandoned. There's what looks like a bed in the next room with blankets on it, a full backpack beside it, clothes hanging. Are they alone? He continues into the next room, hearing others inside, but it turns out just to be his own crew. You can hear a lot of sounds and things moving, like there are animals on the roof. Next, the door closes behind him by itself. They use the EVP to see if anyone's there in the home with them. The quick reply is yes. They also hear the words demon, as well as a warning, get out now. The demon tells them they have no right to be there. Andrew says he's starting to feel affected and his hands are shaking. And moments later, something falls off the shelf. Even scarier are the Polaroids that they find of what appears to be an authentic exorcism or ritual of some sort. What do you think went on in this makeshift cathedral of a home? A possession? Would you feel comfortable in the demon's skin? A YouTuber named Mr. Technical Difficult and his friends are hanging out by a river when they see an old abandoned cooler on the other side. They don't pay much attention to it at first, but after a while they grow curious as to what could possibly be inside. Finally, they can't take the suspense anymore and decide to retrieve the floating container. What they find inside is troubling.
Open the hatch.
They remove an excessive amount of masking tape and pop the lid only to see a black-eyed doll peering back at them. The creepy doll is dressed in red suspenders and its head is turned directly towards the camera. No one knows what to make of this unsettling discovery, and they all stand around for a bit laughing nervously. To this day, the group has absolutely no explanation as to how or why this doll was sealed and sent down the river, or more importantly, who is responsible for this strange message. Saul O'Brenner claims to have caught a ghost on camera at an abandoned cemetery somewhere in Brazil. Across the street is a shadow figure caught moving on tape. It looks pretty decent until you zoom in and see the ghost sighting is most likely a blur effect or a camera glitch. The date and time look messed up too, further evidence that this CCTV video has been edited and not paranormal. Imagine being the spirit of a child, still stuck in the world. Why are you there? What do you do in the interim? Clearly the answer is to play around with the living. Originally posted to TikTok by Dries Perry, a Redditor wonders what Reddit thinks of these TikToks. Let's take a look. In the first clip, Perry says he's convinced that this room in his home is haunted. After shutting the door so it doesn't scare his daughter, he speaks directly to the ghost, inviting him to reveal his presence in some way. At first, the ghost is hesitant, but soon after, a can on the table flips over onto its side. After returning to the room, he asks the spirit to move something else. A toy car begins to slowly roll across the same tabletop. Seems like someone is ready to play. Redditor Hollow Planet writes, "This is exactly what the poltergeist I had was like." During round 2 of attempting to communicate with the spirit in the toy room, Perry decides to try and play too, since many of his commenters on TikTok were theorizing that it was a child ghost. After asking the child ghost to play, a ball is tossed his way from a nearby shelf. He shows the camera up close that there are no strings attached to the wiffle ball that rolls to stop at his feet. He asks the child ghost to knock 3 times if he's nice. After you hear 3 clear knocks, Perry says he's done.
Could you knock 3 times if you're a nice ghost? I don't know. Okay, guys. Yep, I'm done. I'm done.
Already? The kid just wants to toss a ball. Redditor ZRyan3564 writes that he's jealous the ghost is so vocal. It seems he or she wants you to accept it, so it's doing everything you ask. Ryan says, would you accept this playful ghost, or would you lock up this room and throw away the key? Castles and forts often have long and frightening histories. This one is no exception. Published by Vault of Fear in April of 2012, a family was visiting this old fort when they captured something spooky on camera. The video shows a full torso shadow figure appearing to climb the stairs into the fort. A split second later, two crows flee from the windows. We can assume disturbed by the apparition. Apparently, this site has experienced paranormal activity for some 4,000 years. Judging by this video, that activity isn't going to end anytime soon. I don't know if this episode of CK Taylor's show is more odd or terrifying. Today's item on the menu is gooey duck, which is an oversized clam, not a duck, though it does look extraordinarily gooey. Forget about the appearance for 1 second and let me ask you this. Would you be able to eat anything that sounds like a hissing balloon?
เราจะมาลองชิมกันเป็นคือมันยังเป็นอยู่นะคะ
It doesn't get any prettier or less odd looking when you remove the first layer of skin. If anything, it just looks twice as terrifying as before. And when CK Taylor cracks open the shell, the rest of its body looks like some kind of tumor. This is what it looks like when it's fully prepared, which I will admit looks more like a regular piece of seafood, but still like something from another dimension. So that's a hard pass from me. To be fair, I'm sure CK Taylor is an excellent chef, and her husband says it tastes good when he tries it.
Good taste. Good? Right?
No.
Would you be brave enough to take a bite? When there's something angry in your home, it will make its presence known. Published to YouTube by Lainey and Ben in June of 2021, this short scary clip shows their haunted house in action yet again. Lainey is making breakfast and walks over to set the dishes on the table, but the moment she turns her back to the cupboard, it swings wide open and a bottle of ketchup is expelled from it. Lainey catches a glimpse of the paranormal activity, and although she still appears a bit shocked, it's clear she's seen this sort of stuff before. She simply calls out for Ben and then calmly leaves the kitchen.
Ben?
Is the spirit just reminding Lainey not to forget the ketchup, or is this a forewarning because a red liquid condiment seems a bit too on the nose? Tell us your theory. What is this poltergeist after? J Squad family and a friend are taking an Uber ride from a party to a hotel. The driver slowly starts to make him feel very uncomfortable, so his friend begins recording the interaction for both evidence and their personal safety. The driver asks about J Squad's girlfriend and makes other weird personal comments throughout the conversation, like this one for example.
But you're not the word that they said. You're so much more than that. Yeah, thank you. You're so welcome.
J Squad isn't sure what to say, so he just kind of goes along. That is, until the driver stops following the GPS instructions and goes in the completely wrong direction.
Do you think you should turn to... Yeah, probably should. Oh my god. I knew I was gonna... Well, good, thank you.
He promises to get J Squad back to his hotel, but there's something in his voice that I find very insincere and maybe even slightly menacing. Eventually, the friend in the backseat nervously says,
Anyways, I'm so tired. Yeah.
I'm so tethered, which I think means that he feels so trapped right now. J Squad nods in silent agreement. The driver does not pick up on any of this and keeps talking. Eventually, the driver gets noticeably perturbed, and he stops talking to them completely for a while.
Listen to the radio.
His music selection sounds like something Norman Bates would choose and only serves to creep them out even more. Then, without warning, he makes a startling demand.
Guys, feel free to sing along. Keep that camera on too.
At this point, he has noticed the camera and sarcastically tells them to keep recording. J Squad quickly tells him to pull over at a random street and they get out safely. Who knows what would have happened to them if they didn't have the quick wits to start recording the situation.
Oh my, I still gotta see it. Dude, there's this weird thing flying around. Where is it? Right there. Oh my. What is that?
Julia Marie Madness is being driven close to madness by a strange light that she is having trouble explaining. A light that's as interested in her as she is in it. Watch this and tell me if you think it's a camera glitch or something else.
Oh my god, what is that? It's scaring me a little bit. It's like right here.
She's worried about the orb trying to hitch a ride in her car, but some say she should be more worried about it attaching itself to her in a possible possession attempt.
It's like right next to me. It's like right next to me. Dude. Dude, don't come in my car.
Whatever this is, a car's passing headlights does nothing to change the size or appearance of the apparent ghost orb, so it doesn't seem to be a trick of the light. I'm not saying this can't be a glitch, I'm just saying it's very weird, and so as almost everyone else who's seen the full video, it first appears in a flash of pink light, almost like it teleports in from nowhere, or the pink light is just her thumb. It goes away after a while and she can't recreate the circumstances to make it appear again. Security cameras in this home didn't spy any intruders while this family was on vacation, at least not of the mortal kind. Published by Grasshopper 222 in July of 2011, the living room camera captured what looks like a cat toy moving across the floor. The only problem? There's no cat in sight. Moments later, a strange noise resounds in the room, and several objects fall to the floor. The bathroom's camera captured further paranormal activity. 2 toothbrushes fling from the counter, not falling but as if propelled by an unseen force. The faucet turns on full blast sometime later, while something flings into the sink. This is followed by the toilet flushing, and what sounds like the lid slamming shut. In the garage, although it's dark, you can hear noises. The YouTuber says it's a drill, and the doors on his father's car door. You can see the car's interior lights turn on when the doors open. In the kitchen, activity occurs over several days. Watch closely. Days later, this happens. While some in the comments are perplexed by this blatant activity, others are spotting things you may not have seen, like this shadow. Do you too think this house is in need of a priest? Become a storm chaser or head to the cellar. This homeowner did both when the Cedar Rapids derecho storm blew into his neighborhood. Published to YouTube by E. Hindman in August of 2020. This footage shows a quick as lightning storm roll in, one that devastated Iowa for hundreds of miles around. Hindman said he daringly took some footage of the storm out his window, setting up a camera there before safeguarding himself in the basement. What he captured was half an hour of one of the most brutal storms you'll ever see. The video shows the storm rile up ferociously, wind and rain whipping through while tree branches roll like tumbleweed down the road. At some point the trees are just being thrown full stop. The sturdy looking pine that stands in Hinman's front yard, which has made it this far, doesn't make it out alive. Its stump breaks clean in half half and another larger tree falls across the yard. They are blown away with the others. Hindman writes, the damage in this area of Iowa was like being hit by a 40-mile wide tornado. The storm took 4 lives, cut off power to nearly the entire city, contributed to the record-tying $16 billion worth of weather damage that impacted the US last year, according to the Washington Post.
Oh my god, this is so gross. I'm trying to look it up everywhere and I really can't identify it because it looks so weird and different.
A YouTuber named Supa Tanks has a creepy unwelcomed guest in her aquarium and needs our help figuring out what it is. Someone commented that this looks like a highly toxic centipede that fell in, but Supa Tank thinks that this might be an aquatic-based life form responsible for eating her shrimp. I agree with the giant insect theory because of its many legs and cylinder-shaped body, but maybe it's an exotic parasite or something even worse. Let's help solve this mystery and put her mind at ease with a correct answer. Donnie regularly sees what he thinks is a shadow person in his home. It's always in the basement, always coming from the corner of his eye, and always going way too fast to be a normal person. He can feel its anger downstairs, and he knows that it wants to do him harm. Donnie decides to put music on blast to see what kind of reaction he can get on camera. After 20 minutes, this shadow can take no more and races upstairs, causing these lights to move. Soon the same angry feeling returns, and Donnie knows that it's back. He starts recording down a dark hall, and these bottles move on their own.
You're not welcome here.
You and I both heard them fall, but no one else is around to knock them over. At least nobody that I could see, and just around the corner are the stairs leading down to the dark, cold basement. Do mirrors reflect reality? Or could they be portals to another world? Published by Augustina Devia in July of 2021, this creepy clip has me wondering if this is real or an optical illusion. In the video, Augustina is speaking with some guitarists on a video chat platform called Omegle. As she's chatting with the guys, something unnerving is happening in the mirror behind her. Take a closer look. The closet mirror reflects a dark shape sitting on Augustina's bed. You can also see a dark shape over her shoulder on her bed. You'd assume this was the thing being reflected, only the shape in the mirror is not an accurate reflection of the object on the bed. The item on her bed, which appears to be a piece of clothing lying on its side, doesn't match the object in the mirror, which is sat up and alert. Is the object in the mirror actually out of view behind her? But then again, if that's the case, why isn't the object on the bed positioned sideways, reflected at all? Is this an optical illusion? The more you stare at this, the less sense it makes. Submitted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Project Bad 720, this redditor wrote, "We moved out of our last house because the activity was getting out of hand. Now it's acting up again." The redditor also included that they're in West Texas. Let's watch their submission and see what they're talking about. There was certainly some discussion about this video in the comments. Creepy Girl Tia wrote, "Sounds like you have brought something that a spirit is attached to, that you brought to your new place, or the spirit is attached to you." And Fiery Witchburn 333 has a similar sentiment saying, "The houses aren't haunted, you are, seek help." And the uploader responded saying, "I actually believe I am being followed, so this makes sense. Do you think that's what's going on here? Let me know in the comments." This video was recently taken in Malaysia on a cell phone. Whereas UFO footage is blurry and far away, there's no mistaking what this object is supposed to be in this video. The UFO passes over a house and then takes off in the distance. A short while later, this other footage was taken. The UFO turns sideways and appears to be observing them through a bright white light in the center. It regards them for a moment longer and then the video ends. Overall, it's hard to say if this is a fake video or genuine UFO activity. Most of the comments in the video tend to favor that this really happened. Garbage has eyes. Posted to the Paranormal Evidence subreddit. See Holly Molly writes, first noticed the eyes about 2 years ago. The ones next to the hose reel. She says this is a black plastic bag with sand in it, with no tape or reflective stickers attached. The security footage shows the garbage bag and its eyes. At some points throughout the clip, it even looks as though the eyes are blinking. The Redditor says the eyes appeared nearly a week after the bag was placed there. Some Redditors in the comments say it's pareidolia, while others think it's a residual artifact from the camera. Are we seeing a face that is not there? Or is this a real-life Oscar the Grouch? Just when you think you are safe. Published in July of 2017. This major fright is of the natural variety. While inside a Maruti showroom, a raging storm roars outside its glass storefront. Wind, rain, the whole shebang. The wind grows more hostile. It looks like the whole showroom is going through a car wash. The store's employees and customers alike watch this wild weather, feeling safe and sound inside, but they shouldn't feel safe. The scary wind suddenly blows so hard that it smashes the glass, which shatters and collapses before their very eyes, and then it's chaos. Everyone runs as far away from the storefront as they can. People are screaming. Once the cameraman gathers his bearings and turns around to have a look, you can see water and glass scattered everywhere. People are still running around in a panic. They manage to cram themselves into a compact room near the back. From there, you can see it wasn't only the front window that shattered. Another to the side is broken too, causing crosswinds to whistle through the showroom from every angle. Ceiling tiles start to fall, and the whole building seems on the verge of collapse. I hope everyone here made it out safely. You think winter roads are bad, and you've probably never ridden your bike here. This incident occurred in India in 2018. The uploader explains that it was his third day of riding from Indore to Pangong Lake, and he had just partnered with another rider who joined him on his solo trip. He writes that the pass was slippery that day and was loaded with trucks. The result is a close call his friend met with, which he caught on camera. The footage shows the pair of bikers on a narrow mountain road with nothing but a cliff edge and a 100+ foot fall to their right. In front of them is a truck transporting heavy metal poles. As they follow quite closely behind this truck, it looks as though his friend is going to attempt to overtake the vehicle on the cliffside with little to no shoulder, but that attempt comes to a quick end when his heavy bike with all his belongings piled onto the back loses traction on the slushy ground. It falls onto its side dangerously near the cliff edge. If he'd been even a foot nearer the edge, he would have been a goner. As fate would have it, his life was spared that day, and as Banda writes, hopefully this teaches other riders to ride safe, live long. Bryn is ready to take a hike through the infamous Aokigahara forest in Mount Fuji, Japan. It isn't long before he finds a dark and foreboding entrance. He's not very far inside when he comes across an abandoned bike. Laying on the seat is the open packaging for a kitchen knife. Sadly, it is clear that this person came here with one clear purpose. A short while later, he comes across a bag that is empty except for a note. He tries to read the Japanese writing and comes up short.
It says 1211. I can't quite make out. I think this is somebody's name just here. And I'm not sure what this means.
If you can read the message, then please share what it says with me so that we'll know once and for all. As soon as he's finished reading, a crow caws directly overhead.
Later.
It's an ominous sign for sure, so Bryn decides to get out of there before anything bad happens. Do you feel like someone's pursuing you? Then you should probably trust your gut. Published to YouTube by Upbeat Yamaha in February of 2019. This video follows a motorcyclist minding his own business on the open road. Wearing a GoPro, he manages to capture a white truck in front of him, nothing out of the ordinary. Ahead, the truck pulls over to the side of the road. This too appears innocent enough, but after passing the white truck and later taking a turn onto a side street, seeing the truck continue along, you probably wouldn't expect what comes next. The biker returns to the main road, and the same white truck now a ways ahead pulls over again, letting him pass a second time. The biker starts to wonder what's going on. Even more worrisome, he thinks the truck is following him. He suspects the driver might be trying to record his license plate to report him for something. Although he says he hasn't done anything to report, he again pulls over at an intersection and attempts to wait out the suspect, who has stopped as well. The biker says the man in the truck is attempting to wave him on. After a brief face-off, the biker turns to the left, noting the guy's plate number and saying he was taking pictures of him. While the video doesn't come to any concrete conclusion about what the white truck wanted, the biker suspects that he's dealt with the same man before. Some in the comments think it's probably just some angry boomer who's mad about how loud the bike is. Others advise that if this happens again, to pull into a fire station, as they most certainly will help someone being followed. A cautionary tale if there ever was one. For all we know, this lurker could have had even more sinister motives. The Shadows Are Coming For You, published by ILM and Bono Paranormal in July of 2021. This creepy clip shows you are never as alone as you think. A man is walking through an abandoned building and his camera scans the room. Look carefully in the window pane. A shadow figure passes by, outlined against the glass. It's unclear if the figure is outside walking past or inside being reflected, but all I do know is the cameraman has company. If I were him, I'd be getting out of there ASAP. A lady in a car confronts this group after she believed they were making rude comments about her daughter. The group of boys try to argue that she is mistaken and they have done nothing wrong. The woman seems not to believe them, and that's where things get heated.
That she's gonna follow us home, and I'm just
trying to look to where you live.
Why?
Where you live?
You're not coming to my house.
I want to talk to your parents.
You're not coming to my house.
Well, are you gonna cry?
You're not coming to my house.
She parks her car in the road and comes right up to the group. They begin to argue back and forth and nothing gets resolved. The police were eventually called, and that's where the video ends. It remains unclear if the boys had done anything wrong or if the woman was acting like this for no reason. Robert Arbuckle is the name of a man whose spirit is said to still inhabit this restaurant in Florida called Pelican's Alley. Two ghost investigators stand on the other side of the kitchen door, where Robert is seen the most. You can see it is empty.
There it goes again. You see it underneath the door? It's getting darker and darker in that left-hand side for some reason.
A side profile of a man definitely appears in the doorway, yet when they go inside, the figure is gone. The question is whether or not this was a third friend, or in fact Robert himself. If the backstory to this video is real, then none of the friends you are looking at here are still alive. Their families gave police permission to release this video in hopes of solving what happened to them. At some point during their final car ride together, they go through a lonesome old tunnel in the middle of a private country road. They don't think much of it until they come across the same tunnel again, and then a third time. They're driving in a straight line and not a circle. Yet this creepy location keeps greeting them as if they never left. It only gets worse when the engine stops working. If you think this video is fake, then please take a moment and tell me how they were able to make it look like their car breaks down.
Just over here, I don't want to say.
Anyway, not too long after their car stops working, a song skips on the radio and this figure heads straight their way. And when the car works, they go to reverse. You can see the figure immediately appears behind them in return. I think this last part looks like it could be an amateur horror movie, to be honest, but tell me if this part is editing or not, and then we'll know the real truth. Think you know the volatility of a poltergeist? Think again. Published by C's Crazy Crossroads, the YouTuber writes, "A rock comes off of the piano towards me. Absolutely insane capture. It is at the 2:47 mark. Apparently, this YouTuber hadn't caught the absolutely creepy capture until his viewers pointed it out to him after watching his original video, which is certainly surprising, as the paranormal behavior is quite obvious and alarming. As he walks through an abandoned church at night, a rock clearly comes flying at him from a nearby piano. You can see the rock actually fling towards him and ricochet off something behind him. Who or what threw this rock at Crazy Crossroads? I'd wager it was something or someone straight out of a nightmare." These guys were wandering through the forest when they encountered someone who at first appeared lost, but after a moment they realized something was very wrong.
What's he got in his hands?
You alright, mate?
Hello, mate.
It's got something in his hand.
Whoa, what have you got in that?
Lower it down, mate. Come on, lower it down.
After this strange encounter, the boys follow the crazy man's rubbish to its hiding place.
Be cautious, Luke. The roof looks like it's about to collapse.
Georgie.
That's not rubbish, bro.
Figure, ain't it? Hello?
When they realize it's a person, and a living person at that, they start to unravel the bag and the mystery.
Bag. He's alive, bro. He's alive. He's alive.
Where's he gone?
Is he gone?
What? Did he take you?
What was this Axeman going to do with this boy?
What's that? There was something. What is that? He's back, bro. He's back.
After this most recent encounter, we could probably guess most videos of unidentified flying object sightings are out of focus or simply blinking lights. This one is the opposite of that. The video shows a saucer-shaped flying object sitting in an open field near forest and mountains. You can see at least one figure outside the vehicle standing to its left. A close-up shown later in the footage reveals that the creature is the quintessential Martian. Overly large cranium, long thin limbs and all. After the Martian returns inside, a launching sound is heard. As the vehicle's engine revs up, in an instant the saucer shoots straight upward. The suddenness of the launch causes the person holding the camera to drop the shot downward before racing away on foot. What would you do if you encountered this at the edge of the forest? I just know I wouldn't be sticking around to find out. I don't want to go to Mars just yet. Sometimes you can see something that looks vaguely familiar until it completely surprises you. Posted by a major malfunction, this strange figure was caught by a security camera in Turkey. Watch closely to catch what it does. The small figure appears to be trailing across the road, walking upright. It twirls, at moments disappears, then is captured again, meandering around whimsically. Suddenly it moves forward, then takes off into the air, gliding smoothly upward, all the while twirling in place. It rises, floating, gliding, and soon is out of sight. The timestamp says this occurred in February of 2016 at around 2 in the morning. What is this thing? Of course, theories abound in the comments section, with the most common suggestion being a helium balloon. If that was the case though, wouldn't its movements be more sporadic? And that doesn't explain its sudden reincarnation. A YouTuber named Shavir Joffrey has been hearing loud knocks and other strange noises at night, so he decides to half-jokingly ghost search around his house for fun. Nothing happens until he starts talking about what he is going to do to the ghost when he catches it. Do you think this is paranormal or just a friend off camera?
You know, any ghost that comes in, game over, my... Did you hear that? Did you...
Okay, so that might not be enough to convince you, but as soon as they crack more jokes, they hear a slight scraping noise, kind of like somebody breathing through a straw, and this time it is right by them. I think there's another part that they might have missed. Do you hear someone take a breath here?
And be like, I think.
Does this internet cafe have some unwanted customers? Redditor Juice173 thinks it does. He explains that he works in pest control, and this internet cafe was one of his clients. After seeing this footage, the owner insisted that he still has rats. Here is the surveillance video. Here's a clip from another angle. It's strange to me that something falls off of the shelf or is pushed right before the entire thing breaks. I would say it's just a matter of shoddy workmanship rather than something paranormal if it wasn't for that. But this makes me think that there's something more complex going on here, and I see no rats. What if we are living in a simulation? Cross-posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit, the cross-poster suggests that this is visual proof that the universe is updating now. The video footage shows a spinning wheel of light in the sky, the type you see on your computer screen when the system is buffering. The wheel is seen at a distance and then close up. The short clip offers no explanation, leaving Redditors to reach the most extreme conclusions. Maybe they're just looking to get some of that McDonald's. Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.